All right, let's continue here on BOXTOROW, joined by a gentleman in his 6th season as the head baseball coach at Bethune-Cookman. The Rattlers are 25-20 on the season. As a matter of fact, ranked number 2 in the blackcollegebaseball.com poll, on the road for the rivalry game against Florida A&M this weekend. As a matter of fact, the last time the two teams met, the Wildcats took 2 of 3 from the Rattlers. Jonathan Hernandez, again in his 6th season as the head baseball coach at Florida A&M, at Bethune-Cookman, joins us here on the program. What's going on, Coach Hernandez?
All good. Just got settled in here to Tallahassee, ready for a Thursday afternoon practice with the guys, and looking forward to obviously down the stretch. 3 series left, but what's in front of us is an opportunity to go 1-0 tomorrow, and play against a really good baseball program over at Florida A&M.
25-20 on the season. Again, Florida A&M on the horizon. Your thoughts on the way your team has played to this point in the season?
I think it's been fine. We're every year we want to see growth. We want to see that within our program, and I think we've done that the last couple of years, especially joining the SWAC. So looking forward to every year putting a competitive, quality talent out on the field to give us an opportunity to position ourselves for obviously the stretch run and hopefully make a run at this in Atlanta at the SWAC tournament. But pleased with how we're playing so far.
The SWAC. Just talk about SWAC baseball. Like I mentioned, you took 2 of 3 from Florida A&M. Jackson State took 2 of 3 from you, and then I believe FAMU took 2 of 3 from Jackson. Like, it's crazy in the SWAC.
It is, there's a lot of parity, and I think that, the coaches have done a phenomenal job, not only recruiting the student athletes to make the SWAC competitive, but also the overall development of the student athletes on the field and off the field to make, SWAC baseball very interesting. I've said it from, the start that we got here, we can't take a weekend off. I mean, you look at last weekend, surprisingly, to others, but Alabama A&M took 2 or 3 from us, and they've got a couple of weekend wins as well. So just a parity of the league, but that's also the job that all the head coaches, the assistant coaches that work alongside the head coaches and the student athletes to continue to push the SWAC baseball conference forward, on a national scale, and it's really good baseball all the way around.
You're getting the program back to where it once was. I know, transitioning sort of in your first season, but you had a good season last year. I mean, to be able to lose in the first round of the SWAC tournament, I think you won, 3 or 4 straight games. You ultimately lost to Florida A&M. But, I think obviously it's really good. Does it seem like it's been 6 seasons?
It definitely doesn't feel that way. It just feels like, the other day I was getting the phone call letting them know that I was gonna, or I got selected to become the head coach here at Bethune. You look at the pandemic, how it affected everybody, but then 21, the athletic department and the university opted out of athletics. So, it's been 6 years, coaching the 4th, full season here at Bethune. It's been surreal. It's been awesome. But none of this is possible without the support of the assistant coaches that we have on board, our student athletes that are buying into the vision, and also the athletic administrators, that we currently have at Bethune and who were here when I first got hired to align themselves with the vision of our program and where we want to take this. So all of this is not possible without the support of those, people that we've surrounded our programs with the last couple of years.
Jonathan Hernandez in his 6th season as the head baseball coach at Bethune-Cookman. He joins us here on BOXTOROW. You've had some nice wins this year, maybe none nicer, than the victory over Miami back on April the 17th. At Miami, 6-4. It's a good college baseball game, a 6-4 score. Your thoughts and what that victory meant? I'm sure you've had some other big victories, but this may be one of your bigger victories since you've been the head coach there at Bethune-Cookman.
Yeah, it started actually back in, 2019 where, it was my first year and we took 2 from Boston College, took 2 from Ohio State. Just kind of getting back to that where we want to be able to not only, have success on the weekends, but put ourselves in a position to have success in the midweek games. And, we've done that throughout the course of the year. But like you said, nothing sweeter than, me being born and raised down in Hialeah, Florida, just 20 minutes outside of Miami, going to Mark Light Stadium, Mark Light Field when I was younger, watching the Hurricanes play, to then, go back to a place where I grew up watching college baseball and taking a team and, being able to accomplish one of, my own personal goals is, to get a win against a Power 5 program on a midweek. Nevertheless, how special is it to do it when you're able to go back home in front of, your family and your friends, and at a ballpark that has such, so much history there in the 305, and come out with a victory. And I think it gave our players and our coaches and just the university just a synopsis of, hey, like, we can do this. We just got to pull the right way and just got to continue to play our brand of baseball, and anything can happen any given day. We just need to get an opportunity to do what we do. And, our guys did a phenomenal job. Not only that game, but, the whole season so far. But nevertheless, nothing sweeter than being able to go back home and share that memory with so many family and friends down in Miami.
You've had some nice wins. You start the season out with taking 2 of 3 from Stonehill. Maine, you take 2 of 3. You've gotten victories over FIU. You've gotten victories over Jacksonville. And in most of those games, at least the single games, are midweek games. How much of it's about the conference, and it's about winning the conference. And the way to get to regional play is by, if you're in the SWAC, as it stands right now, is by winning the conference. However, how much emphasis do you place on midweek games?
I think that you're absolutely correct. First and foremost, we have to take care of business on the weekends. But, the last 3 years that we've been involved in the SWAC, it finds a way to, that fourth starter, right? Your midweek starter at some point is going to have to pitch in that conference tournament. So we want to put ourselves in a situation where whoever we throw out there, if we're fortunate enough to get that far into the tournament, where our midweek starter is going to be able to provide quality innings for us, not only at the SWAC tournament, but also in our midweek games. Again, being in Florida with the tough non-conference matchups that we do have in our midweek games, that also assists in recruiting, right? If we're able to put a quality product out on the field and we're getting these big wins, it also, allows ourselves to recruit a player that maybe would have never given Bethune-Cookman a chance before, just based on the schedule and the success that we've been having, not only in our conference and our weekends, but also our midweek non-conference games. So I think that it opens up a door that maybe wasn't opened a couple of years ago, with players now having, the ability to come to a Bethune-Cookman to compete against the best competition, not only in the state, but in the country, and as well as playing a competitive league like it is in the SWAC.
Tanner, is it Bocabello, your pitcher? Bocabello. I mean, you look at his numbers. He's got a 2.3 ERA, 6-1 on the season. He's got 55 strikeouts. The numbers suggest that he's been really good for you. How good for you has he, in fact, been?
He's been really good. And again, it's very tough for a program like ours to replace a guy that we had last year, Nolan Santos, who was drafted in the 7th round by the Minnesota Twins. So those are some big shoes to fill in its own. And, Boca's done a really good job stepping in that role and thriving in that role. He's a team first type guy. He's a competitor. Very rarely wants to be taken out of a game. And the numbers do align with what you mentioned about him being that good for us. I think he's only has 1 loss on the year. He could easily have an extra, 2 or 3 wins on the season, just some starts that, he left the game where we were winning and we just, didn't capitalize or didn't finish ball games. But, he's been very good for us, not only on the field, but, just with the overall pitching staff. Being a junior college transfer from St. Pete, has the experience to pitch in big games. Junior college baseball is really good here, but, definitely a guy that has filled the shoes so far of Nolan Santos, who was with us for the last couple of years and now is with the Minnesota Twins organization.
From a hitting standpoint, Jose Gonzalez, I mean, the numbers jump off. 358 average, amongst the leaders, if not leading. The SWAC hits for power. He's got 4 home runs. He's got 4 triples. He's got 7 doubles. He's got a slugging percentage of .528. What has he meant to this team and in particular this offense?
I think he's meant a lot. Again, you look at last year, a guy that we lost, to professional baseball, Highland Hall, what he meant to our program. Now he's playing professionally. To bring in a guy to kind of step in and somewhat fill those shoes. It's tough. It's tough to identify and evaluate those type of guys. But when you give them an opportunity, all we can do is see what they can do with it. And he's done well. He's a grad transfer from an NAIA program over at Ave Maria University, which arguably plays in the toughest NAIA conference in the country. So, he has a history of putting up some big numbers, and, he's made the transition from NAIA to Division I, as you alluded to the stats, very well. So, again, just his veteran leadership, his presence, his ability to help others out and understand what we're trying to do as an offense. He's embraced it. And, just looking forward for him to continue the momentum as we, go down this final stretch run here in the SWAC regular season.
Jonathan Hernandez, the head baseball coach at Bethune-Cookman, joins us here on the program. Can you speak to your facility in Jackie Robinson Stadium? And it's a minor league park, and how much? There's a lot of history there. It's named Jackie Robinson Stadium for a reason, but how it also helps you in recruiting.
Yeah, the facility it's really good. Obviously, just off the top, mentioning the history that the ballpark has, and it is affiliated with the Cincinnati Reds. With their Daytona affiliate. It's good. It's an all turf facility. They're going through renovations right now. There's a $30 million facility upgrade that the city of Daytona Beach has pledged to make facility improvements. And they've started those improvements already with new lighting, new roofing. But what's on deck right now for that stadium is brand new indoor hitting facility, indoor player development facility, brand new locker rooms, dining area, new showers. I mean, it's going to, mimic somewhat of what I would call maybe one of the better mid-majors or like a Power 5 facility in its own. And we're very fortunate and blessed to have the relationship with, not only the ownership group from the Daytona Tortugas, but also with the city of Daytona Beach that, the business relationship, goes hand in hand. We help each other out. And I think it does help a lot with recruiting. When we get guys on visits and they see the facility, they're just in awe of how great a facility that we're fortunate to not only play our games, but practice as well. So as far as a player development standpoint, it has everything there for us as coaches to assist our young student athletes to develop on and off the field. And again, I don't take it for granted. I mean, every day that I step foot at Jackie Robinson Ballpark, I almost got to pinch myself like, man, you're really here, at this ballpark. And with the history attached with Jackie Robinson and with Mary McLeod Bethune, our founder here at Bethune-Cookman. So it's definitely rich history. And again, we don't take it for granted, not one day that we get to step foot at Jackie Robinson Ballpark on City Island Park.
Last thought, as we're joined by Jonathan Hernandez, the head baseball coach at Bethune-Cookman, and we appreciate the time. It's sort of a twofold question. I mean, the bottom line is this weekend, the matchup at Florida A&M, if you at least take 2 of 3 from the Rattlers, you all would be tied, but really you'd have the head-to-head advantage having already taken 2 of 3 from them. What is it going to take to, win the series? And then can you speak to this really good rivalry? They're rivals in all sports, and baseball is no different.
I think it's cliche as it sounds. We just got to take it, one game at a time, one pitch at a time, one inning at a time. You can't let the highs get too high and the lows get too low, especially in a series where there's going to be some emotion behind it because, like you mentioned, of the rivalry, right, between the Rattlers and the Wildcats. I think that we just got to stay true to who we are as an offense. If you look at, what we've been able to do offensively the whole year, we don't slug like the majority of the SWAC schools, but we do put pressure on the defense. And I think we're 3rd or 4th nationally in stolen bases. So that's something that we're going to continue to do. And we're not going to change, who we are as an offense. And I think with the pitching that's been doing well for us, we just got to keep those bats at bay. It seems like right after our series at Daytona, FAMU has just gone on an offensive barrage the last couple of weeks. So it's our job to keep that ball in the ballpark and execute the pitches that we need to. And again, we just got to be fundamentally sound. Jamie does a really good job, over there at FAMU, just making sure that their teams aren't going to make mistakes. But if those opportunities arise, then we have to be able to capitalize it, especially being on the road at a hostile environment here at FAMU. As far as like the rivalry, it's again, anytime you get a Wildcat and a Rattler in any sport competition, it could be checkers or it could be in a debate. Things are going to pop off, but that's just the beauty about, playing this game and having, us represent Bethune and them over there, represent the orange and green. It's just going to be set up for a really good weekend. It's probably going to be the most watched SWAC, weekend series so far, because you are right. We're just right there, 2 games back from FAMU in first place. But for us, it's just to make sure we continue to play our brand of baseball, not make mistakes, capitalize when the opportunities arise, and just get out of this as healthy as we can at it. So we have another 2 weeks of, SWAC play to pay attention to once this weekend is over. But right now, our focus is how are we going to be able to collectively as a group be consistent in our routines and our habits to be able to go 1-0 on Friday. We'll worry about Saturday when it gets here. But right now, everything's on deck for Friday, 5 o'clock here in Tallahassee.
Jonathan Hernandez, again in his 6th season as the head baseball coach at Bethune-Cookman, joining us here on the program. The Wildcats ranked number 2 in the blackcollegebaseball.com poll, as you heard, on the road this weekend in an important series against Florida A&M. Coach Hernandez, we appreciate the time. Continued success to you and the Wildcats.
Thank you very much. Hail Wildcats.